Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
It is a beautiful night for baseball once again in downtown Cincinnati. And we welcome you to Great American Ballpark, where tonight it's round 2 of 4 between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds. And, of course, starting tonight and carrying right into tomorrow, the Reds will recognize their Hall of Famer, Tony Perez, as they will unveil a statue outside of Great American Ballpark in his honor prior to the game tomorrow. Hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball. We'll have all the coverage for you surrounding the Tony Perez weekend as we roll through tonight after the game and tomorrow before the game. The first couple of nights since Brandon Phillips went down and Billy Hamilton went down, at least the top of the order, the two guys that are up there, Chris, are doing what they're supposed to do and getting on base.
Well, they're two guys that earlier in the year you wouldn't even ever have even imagined that they would be at the top of the order, but they are right now. We're talking about Jason Bourgeois and Eugenio Suarez. So Suarez has got such a good run going. They moved him from lower in the lineup up to the number 2 spot. Now with Billy Hamilton out, Bourgeois takes over the leadoff spot. Last 2 games can't do a whole lot better than what they've done. Get on base nearly every time. 8 for 15, 3 walks. Every time you turn around, the top of the lineup is getting it done.
Now you got to knock them in, and that has been a problem here so far during this homestand. Let's take a look at a pitching matchup tonight. The Diamondbacks have a lot of young pitchers just like the Reds do, and the guy who's really growing into a pretty nice part of their equation is on the mound tonight.
Well, he was originally a Los Angeles Dodger, but he's now a Diamondback. Ruby De La Rosa is his name. He's a right-hander, 26 years old, and so far he has had a very nice season. You see what he's done since the All-Star break, a 4-0 record. He's won 10 games on the year. But this be said about De La Rosa, he has pitched on the right night. They get him as many runs as nearly any starter in the National League, but he's taking advantage of it. He's pitching just good enough to win these ball games, and he's a guy that the Diamondbacks feel very comfortable with when he's on the mound.
And you wonder if maybe David Holmberg is pitching with a little bit of an edge here tonight. After all, he came over from the Reds from Arizona.
Well, back-to-back left-handers after John Lamb last night, now David Holmberg tonight. He did come over from Arizona, so he's got a little extra adrenaline going from that standpoint. But he also should have an edge because he needs to improve on the performance that he had his last time out. He got knocked around in very bad fashion against the Dodgers in Los Angeles. So time for a payback maybe to another National League West team.
All right, when we come back, Jim Day is standing by with more on the big doggy, Tony Perez. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
I'm telling you what, it is going to be one great night down at the ballpark. But I don't know about you. I love watching some of these young players, some of these young pitchers. 79 first pitch. Headed for home. We're looking at about 70 degrees. Put one out of here. Notice the follow through. Enjoy the game, everybody, on Fox Sports Ohio.
I'm Jim Day on the field right now, serving as honorary captains for this game tonight. Cesar Geronimo, Dave Concepcion, and the man the weekend's all about, the big dog, Tony Perez, at home plate right now. They just got a very large reception. I'm Jim Day up here in the Handlebar. They're having a private dinner up here, an event with the Great Eight and the Big Red Machine, all here to honor Tony Perez, unveiling his statue tomorrow. It is his weekend. We are talking about one of the most clutch hitters this game has ever seen. 16 seasons with the Reds, 7 All-Star Game appearances, including that 1967 All-Star Game MVP, and in my estimation, the biggest hit/home run in Reds history. That came in Game 7 of the 1975 World Series. Tony Perez honored and humbled by this weekend.
I'm very excited about it. You know, every time somebody wants to do, you know, a statue and you in the ballpark, you got to be excited, man. And I am, and I'm happy, and my family's happy, and all my friends. I mean, the whole town is happy. I guess it's going to be a great day. Joe and Johnny and I next, and I hope he be next, and everybody. I hope the Great Eight be next, and we get everybody there together, and it'd be great.
And throughout the evening, we'll try to pull aside some of the Big Red Machine members and talk to them. Meanwhile, the Reds looking to win one for the big dog.
Cincinnati, the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 2 of a 4-game series. The one-time Diamondback farmhand David Holmberg delivers strike one to Ender Inciarte. And we are underway and delighted to have you with us on this Friday night in the big city. 1 ball and 1 strike. See the numbers on Holmberg, slightly skewed. His first 3 starts, he threw the ball very well before getting hammered his last time out. 7 earned runs in a short start at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. But Chris, the prior 3, not too bad.
Yeah, he was really unable to get the ball down the zone his last time out. And, you know, when you get a young pitcher, you have to continue to remind yourself that they have to be their own pitching coach on the mound, make adjustments on the fly as the game goes on. He was unable to do that. So there's the numbers of his first 3 starts, 17 innings, 6 runs overall, and he gave up more than that in 2 innings in Los Angeles. So, you know, if you're Holmberg, you just wipe the slate clean, you forget about that, act like it didn't happen, and you come back and show everybody in that Reds dugout that you can be a big league pitcher by dealing a good game out there tonight.
That breaking ball missing. Holmberg at AAA, pitched in 19 games for the Louisville Bats, had a 7-6 record, an ERA just under 4.5. And he has run the count full 3-2 on Inciarte. 295 batter, 3 home runs, and even 30 knocked in. And did he go around on a swing? He did. Inciarte can't believe it. He's standing at home plate with his arms thrown up in the air in disbelief. And now Chip Hale is going to tell Inciarte, you come back to the dugout and I'll handle things from here.
Wow. That's about the only pitch where, and it's up and in when a hitter's trying to get out of the way, when the bat actually gets out there in front of home plate, and he could make contact. I mean, he's in disbelief, and you can see why. Chip Hale's not going to even argue that because he knows he's not going to get anywhere.
Fouled away, strike 1 to A.J. Pollock. What a game this young man had last night. 4 hits and 5 at bats, 3 singles, a double, a stolen base, knocked in 3 of Arizona's 5 runs in the game, and putting together a very impressive year. .316 hitter, 12 home runs, 53 runs batted in. His next double will be his 30th double. This one in the air to left, and that will fly out of here, a home run for A.J. Pollock. .13 home runs, 54 knocked in now for Pollock.
That is a good-looking hitter. There's no question about it. He's one of the older guys on this ball club at 27 years old. Most of the rest of his teammates are 24 and 25 years old.
Paul Goldschmidt, first pitch swinging, a 2-hopper at Frazier, and that's out number 2 in the inning. Pollock was a guy you may remember having an outstanding year last year, and then when the Reds were in Arizona, he was hit by a pitch by Johnny Cueto, which broke his hand and ended his season. The rest of the Diamondbacks lineup tonight under Chip Hale. Castillo coming up behind the plate. Aaron Hill again at third. Tomas again in right. Back-to-back games against left-handed pitching. Same lineup. Owings, Ahmed, and tonight Ruby De La Rosa on the mound. Had a chance to see so many members of the Big Red Machine before the game today. Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Davey Concepcion, Cesar Geronimo, of course Tony Perez. This is his weekend. Joe Morgan, Pat Darcy, Raleigh Eastwick, among others, Jack Billingham. And even more than that expected for the pregame ceremony tomorrow. Some guys are still flying in tonight.
Always cause for celebration when you can get that team back together.
Tell you who else was here tonight. I had a chance to see just before the game was Bernie Stowe, legendary clubhouse manager of the Reds for so many years. Of course, his sons, Rick, the clubhouse manager on the home side, Mark, the clubhouse manager on the visitor side. Rick's son, one of his sons, Luke. Well, what a delightful young man he is, a student over at UC, and he helps his dad out in the clubhouse.
He ran one of the road trips.
Yeah.
While his dad took the week off, I think Luke, I can't remember which one it was, but Luke was the main equipment man, so certainly following in the steps of Bernie, and a very fine Stowe tradition.
3-2 on Castillo, and that is ball 4. Holmberg having a hard time throwing the ball over the plate.
Thought that was a strike. He thought it was high enough. Was it called low? looked like it was right on the corner, and so far Mike Winter's behind the plate, or the third base coach Marty Foster has angered one of the Reds guys, which would be Holmberg, the pitcher, and the leadoff hitter, Ender Inciarte.
Here's Aaron Hill. He starts for Jake Lamb a second straight night with a left-hander on the mound down at third base. Hill had 1 hit in 5 at-bats, scored a run last night.
That's where you don't want to miss if you're David Holmberg, which is up and away. It just means that you're falling towards home plate, you're flying open, you're not staying over the rubber long. Got to figure out a way to fix that. And it looks like he made the adjustment there. I mean, if you're going to miss when you're Holmberg, down in the zone is where you have to miss, because most all of his pitches, he's got to pitch down. His fastball tops out around 89, 90 miles an hour, but it's got a lot of movement. A lot more movement when it's down around the knees.
Hit hard down the left field line, cut off by Brennan Bosch. Castillo will stop at second base. Third base runner of this inning. Homer, walk, single. 2 outs, 2 on for Yasmani Tomas. We look at the Reds on defense, presented by your Ford dealers. Bosch gets a rare start. Out and left, just brought back up during this homestand from Louisville. Bourgeois in center, Bruce in right. Still no Brandon Phillips, nursing that arm injury. We'll check in with Jim Day on more than that shortly. De Jesus starts in place of Dat Dude at second tonight. Tomas, a .298 batter, 7 home runs and 42 batted in. And a tapper foul wide of third. You notice both teams with their Spanish nicknames on the jerseys tonight. The Reds celebrating Hispanic Heritage Night here tonight. Los D-backs, Los Rojos. Oh, and 1 on Yasmani Tomas. In the air, right center field. And a nice running catch made by Bourgeois to retire the side. He got a good jump on that ball. Pollock the home run to put Los D-backs in front, 1-0. Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup, only your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. What a beautiful night. Beautiful day. Let's look at the Reds lineup tonight, presented by Meyer. Bourgeois in center, Suarez at short, Votto at first, Frazier, Bruce, and De Jesus 4, 5, and 6. And a ladder third of Pena, Bosch, and Holmberg against Ruby De La Rosa.
He's 26 years old. Ruby De La Rosa is. He's on his third team overall, but this year he's really beginning to put it together. 18-20 in his major league career, but he's 10-5 this year. 24 starts, just about the same number of hits as innings pitched. But he gives up a lot of home runs, 25 long balls in the 149 innings in which he's pitched. Left-handers have a much better batting average against De La Rosa than do right-handers. Mainly because of that pitch right there, which is his main off-speed pitch, a slider.
It's the first time De La Rosa has ever faced the Cincinnati Reds. Bourgeois, interestingly, is the only Reds who have ever seen De La Rosa. 1 for 3 against him, and he pops up his first time up tonight. Arizona on defense, presented by Ford. Everybody the same as last night, and they made some nice defensive plays in the game. In fact, that play made by Owings, not as a second baseman last night, but they made a lot of changes as the game went on. They brought in a new third baseman. Hill went from third to second. Owings went from second to short, and he made a big time play late in the game. That came in the 8th inning when the Reds had 2 on. It was initially ruled safe, his throw in time to get De Jesus, or not in time to get De Jesus, but after the play was challenged by Chip Hale, the replay showed that the first baseman Goldschmidt tagged De Jesus, and the call was overturned. Suarez really swinging the bat well. 3 hits and 4 at bats last night. 3 singles, 1 run batted in. And the night before that, he had a double, a single, a walk, and an RBI. So he's done a little something in every game on this homestand. There's only 3 of them, but in the other game he had a home run. High fastball, and he comes up empty. 96 miles per hour on the radar gun.
Well, that's a pretty good fastball right there, and that's where his average 4-seam fastball is. So he's got it up there faster than that so far this year. The 4-seamer is something he can pitch up in the zone with, and then the majority of his fastballs are 4-seamers. He does throw a few sinkers. He throws a lot of changeups and some sliders as well. Expect the slider, expect the changeups here as one of his weapons against lefties.
Joey Votto at 306, 22 home runs, 59 runs batted in. Joey 1 of 3, had a double, also drew a walk in the series opener. There are fewer than a handful of teams that still put this shift on Votto. The Diamondbacks are one of them. And these 2 teams only meet 6 times. In this case, it's 7 times per year. Generally, it's 1 home series, 1 road series, consisting of 3 games in each. But it's a third baseman who moves over closest to the second base bag as a third infielder. They keep Ahmed, the shortstop, pretty much right at that position. Strike 3 called, and Votto knew it. Again, a fastball clocked at 96. An impressive opening inning for De La Rosa. 1-0 Arizona. On demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. You're a member, Chris Welsh.
I'm checking it out all the time. I'm watching the archives. I'm watching live games of other feeds, you know, from different teams. I'm even watching this game a little bit. Make sure we don't flub up and say something on the air that needs to be corrected. So far, so good for you.
Well, that's inevitable.
Oh, we're in the second inning already.
Rolling right along tonight. Chris Owings had a nice game here last night. Owings had 3 hits, a double, a home run, and knocked in another run with a single in the 6th inning in his 4 at-bats. We were just talking about Owings, and there's a base hit just dribbled through into right field. We were talking about Owings last night and how, you know, some of the fans and those in the media wondering why they continue to run him out there despite a .234 batting average. And the Diamondbacks very much believe he is a winning player. They think he's going to be a good player.
It's funny, I asked one of the Reds coaches today if, excluding Paul Goldschmidt, if you could pick 2 players off this Arizona Diamondback team, irrespective of what your needs are for your own team, who are the two players that you would get? And one of them was Chris Owings.
The other would be Pollock, I assume.
Well, the other one actually was Inciarte. Pollock being 27, Inciarte being much younger.
I got you. Fly ball left field. Who would you take?
I'd probably take Pollock, and I would not have taken Owens until I saw him make that play at shortstop last night. I
didn't mean to throw you on the spot.
No, I would. I mean, I like the way all 3 of those guys play the game. I mean, Inciarte seems like a guy that is always on the move.
Yeah.
Running hard all the time.
He reminds me of a younger, you know, more talented Gerardo Parra, who's with the Diamondbacks, as far as just his energy level is concerned.
I don't know if he's going to have the power that Parra has shown from time to time, but they've got some nice pieces. There's no question about it.
Angel Pagan's a lot like that. Brings a little edge, brings a little attitude. It's interesting to know, talking about Pagan, who is on the disabled list for the Giants. They also have Hunter Pence injured. And that's a big reason why they went out and acquired Marlon Byrd prior to the game yesterday from the Cincinnati Reds. And wouldn't you know it, Marlon Byrd's first at bat as a San Francisco Giant in the 1st inning tonight in Pittsburgh. Pow! 2-run home run, Marlon Byrd.
Off of Jeff Locke, and of course that was his former team, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And let's not forget, the last time Marlon Byrd faced the Pirates, they were the team that dusted him up and in, prompting the benches clearing. I'm not going to call it a brawl, but certainly incident the following day. And it was the pitch up and into Byrd which really started the whole thing.
Now, De La Rosa's got to decide whether he's going to really lay this bunt down or not, because you've got Frazier and Votto at first base. I mean, really charging hard. The Reds are going to try to play this aggressively and see if they can't get the lead runner at second base. Owings runs well, though. You know, you get your corner infielders running in that hard every time. Throw a strike. We'll make them run in 4 pitches in a row here.
You can't roll it out there any better than that. Deaden the baseball softly up the first base line, forcing Votto to come get it, and that's a sacrifice, moving Owings into scoring position. 2 outs in the inning.
Owings goes into scoring position. We keep talking about that play he made last night, Tom, on Ivan De Jesus Jr. in the 8th inning. It was a pivotal play. Suarez at the plate, and Owings just makes a diving stop in the hole. A good swipe tag by Goldschmidt at the back end, but man, I mean, we at the time didn't know that Owings had been moved over to shortstop. He had started the ball game at second base, but he obviously is as good at shortstop as he is at second. A dandy play.
Well, here's Inciarte called out on a swing and a miss, check swing and a miss, when he was trying to avoid the ball hitting him. But his body and momentum carried forward with the bat going through the strike zone, and on the appeal to Marty Foster, he was rung up on a 3-2 pitch. Short left, and Brennan Bosch will come and get it. A leadoff single, a runner stranded at second base. The Diamondbacks in front, 1-0. Have had very good success against this Diamondbacks franchise going back to the 2007 season. The only year the Reds did not win the season series came in 2011. But the Diamondbacks have had their way against the Reds through the front four this year, the Reds winning just one time. So if the Reds are going to win the season series, they have to take each of the next three starting tonight. And so far, Arizona with a 1-0 lead. Ruby De La Rosa to face Frazier, Bruce, and De Jesus in the Reds' second inning. Frazier at 257, 29 home runs, 73 batted in. I mean, this De La Rosa, we saw him strike out Suarez on Votto on 96 mile-per-hour fastballs in a 1-2-3 first inning.
You wouldn't believe it now, but De La Rosa, when he originally signed, it was with the Dodgers. Young man out of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. He weighed 130 pounds, but he threw 90 miles an hour. So they wanted to take a chance on him, and it has worked out.
That turned out to be a tougher play than perhaps you would have thought. Enciarte, I don't know if there is any kind of wind. There's a slight breeze blowing.
Actually, kind of an unusual wind blowing here at Great American Ballpark tonight. It's blowing in from left center field. You hardly ever see the flags blowing the way they are. Normally, it comes down the river from the west and helps those balls that are hit in the left center field gap. This one kind of gets knocked down a little bit.
Well, here comes Jay Bruce, who's really in the same kind of slump right now that Frazier is in, and Bruce lets a fly ball to left. He's retired on the first pitch. Bruce so far in the month of August has been a 140 batter with only one home run, and Frazier's not much better than that here in August. 5 in a row retired by De La Rosa, and here comes De Jesus Jr. First pitch swinging down, strike one. Told you De La Rosa since the All-Star break. I mean, he's getting stronger as his season goes on. You can tell he's a strong, powerfully built young man. 4-0 record, a 2.5 ERA since the break. Fastball right on the outside corner in 96 again. He's already established career highs in everything. Wins, starts, strikeouts, innings pitched. Trying to win his 5th straight game here tonight. Bouncing ball easy for Owings, and the Reds are gone in order for a 2nd straight inning. A 7-pitch inning for De La Rosa. Diamondbacks in front, 1-0.
Reds honor Tony Perez. Arrive early and witness the unveiling of the first baseman's bronze statue, and then the special on-field pregame ceremonies, plus the first 30,000 fans in attendance will receive a replica Tony Perez statue as presented by La Rosa's. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day. Right now, all by my lonesome up here in the handlebar. I'm in the outside portion of it. On the inside right now, the dinner is going on with the Great Eight and other members of the Big Red Machine, which includes Tony Perez. And it's a formatted program, so if the night suggests it, and I have an opportunity, I'm going to try to rope a couple of those guys aside and interview them about this weekend. So we look forward to that, but right now I'll just enjoy this whole area by myself.
Well, I mean, Jim, do you have access to any, food and drink up there?
I could probably force my way in there if I wanted to, but
no, I don't mean in there. I mean, out where you are right now, where you can just relax a little bit. There's a bouncing ball and Suarez to field it, but no chance to get Pollock. That's a good effort by Eugenio.
I do have some beverages right here.
You do?
In ice, yeah. A little, I guess, bucket here. Let's see what we got.
Did you say bucket?
Well, don't forget about your good friends over
really
here at the TV booth.
Yeah, it's not really a bucket. It's kind of a nice fancy bucket. How about that? Uh-oh, we got some Sprite, Coca-Cola. Appears to be soft drinks.
Oh.
Yeah, so you probably don't want those.
Well, we got that covered.
Yeah, see what else we got in here. Well, Diet Coke, that'd be good for me.
Would have been really good for you if you'd have tried to continue to put on my sport coat as you did before the ball game today.
That was very funny. People that don't know, we're kind of wearing the same color jacket today, and I put it on. I'm like, man, have I gained that much weight? I was like Chris Farley, fat guy in a little coat.
That was funny. Didn't even know that was going to happen. All of a sudden you start to try and slip that bad boy on, and that was a good chuckle before the ball game tonight. Here's Goldschmidt. Pollock aboard again. We mentioned he had 4 hits in the game last night. He has a home run and now an infield hit tonight. 30 steals, only Tony Womack and Eric Burns, the 3 players with Pollock in Diamondbacks franchise history to steal 30 or more bases in a season. Womack led the league a couple of times with the Pirates before coming to Arizona. He was a very good base stealer. He made an interesting move during his career. Womack came up as a Pirates second baseman, and because of injury, the Diamondbacks made him their regular shortstop. You don't see that change occur very often. The other way, a lot more frequently, but rarely moving from second to short, and Womack did so successfully.
Usually the determination as to whether you can play short when moving from another position is do you have the arm. Footwork very similar. Most infielders, except for left-handed throwing first baseman, somewhere along the line probably played shortstop in their amateur days. I'm still wondering if Goldschmidt is right. You know, you see that black wrap on his left wrist. He just doesn't seem to be swinging the bat the way we remember Paul Goldschmidt swinging, and Diamondbacks people will tell us the same thing.
Runner goes, and no chance to throw him out. Pollock stolen base number 31.
I wonder if that right shoulder of Brian Pena maybe bothered him a little bit. He got a foul ball right on the joint of where the shoulder and the arm come together, and it was really barking yesterday.
We saw Pollock easily steal third with Ryan Matthews on the mound in the game last night. But Matthews, as that one is swung on and fouled out of play, was able to get out of that jam. That was in a tie game at the time. Actually, the Reds were leading by a run at the time, I beg your pardon, when Pollock stole third. He was there with only 1 out in the inning. But he got Goldschmidt on a grounder to third. 1 out later, Aaron Hill on a fielder's choice ground ball. 2-2 the count on Goldschmidt. Struck him out swinging.
Well, a pretty good pitch, and a needed good pitch right there by David Holmberg down in the zone. You live down there, you're going to get some outs, even against great hitters like Goldschmidt. You know, interesting, when Brian Pena got hit, check this. He got hit right here. Right here, but there's no flap. There used to be a flap that catching, you know, chest protectors used to have right there. And I don't know, I mean, of all the pieces of your body to leave unprotected, you're leaving your throwing shoulder unprotected. I mean, on the other side, you see, you know, he's got a nice spot over here on the left side. He's got a spot that covers that spot. But here you got nothing protecting that shoulder, and that is, don't you think it's just a matter of time before you get one there?
Well, as you mentioned, I mean, it squared him up right on that joint the other night, and we started to talk about it at the time, just how truly tough these guys that get behind the plate on a nightly basis are.
Now, normally you'd think that when you're down your squad and you've got the glove to protect that spot on most pitches that are going to be aimed to come in there around your right shoulder. But on pitches that are fouled off in a weird way, and the angle is unexpected and gets you in the shoulder, there's no protecting it. He's trying to chase Pollock back to the bag, but nobody's really there to help him.
Arizona 1-0 lead on a Pollock home run in the opening inning. Pollock the runner at second here in the third. And it's 0-2 on Wellington Castillo. Down around his feet, a ball and 2 strikes. Reds are trying to accomplish a couple of things here tonight, most notably end a 6-game losing streak. By doing so, they would guarantee the other thing they're trying to avoid, and that is slipping into last place inside the National League Central Division. The Brewers are a half game behind the Reds going into play tonight. And the Brewers early on trailing in Washington at the end of 2-1-0.
Now the Brewers actually have more wins than the Reds. They've got one more win at 52 than the Reds do at 51, but they have played more games and lost 2 more games than the Reds have played. Or what? Lost. You get it. I've got the sheet in front of me, folks, so I understand what I'm talking about.
Line drive caught, botched down on one knee.
That sounds like a congressional hearing up here.
You know what? That's exactly what I was starting to say. I promise I have it right in front of me. It's time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo using hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan. Sounded like Joe McCarthy there for a minute. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Aaron Hill. He'll fly singled into left field his first time up. Pollock the runner out at second base with 2 away here in the third. It'll be a very short ceremony honoring Tony Perez after the game tonight before the fireworks begin. And then the big ceremony is tomorrow. And by the way, tickets are available, and you can take advantage of that 4 for $48 ticket opportunity. 4 view level tickets, 4 Reds hats, $48. And come on down to the ballpark. 7:10 first pitch, but you'll want to get here a little bit earlier than that for the unveiling of the Tony Perez statue here at Great American Ballpark. 1-1, and again paying a lot of attention to Pollock out there at second. With nobody out or 1 out in the inning, you certainly understand that because Pollock showed you last night he will steal third. But with 2 away in the inning now, let's see if Holmberg really zeroes in on just retiring Hill to end the inning. Which he will do. Bosch camped out underneath it, and that is that. Reds will come to bat in search of their first base runner. Pretty good start tonight for Holmberg on the short end of a 1-0 game. Chase Utley makes his Dodger debut tonight. Marlon Byrd makes his Giants debut tonight. Big news for Johnny Football in Cleveland. Catch Fox Sports Live tonight on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Wonder what's going on with Johnny Football there in Cleveland. Johnny Manziel. Just tune into Fox Sports Live, and the both of us will find out later tonight. Here's Brian Payne. And he just guides one down the left field line into the corner. The Reds have their first base runner, their first hit. It's a double by Brian Pena.
You know, it's such a controlled swing. It's almost like the swing of a tennis player that's happening up in Mason, just a few miles up the road. Right down the baseline it goes, and he picks up a double, does Brian Pena. You know, you see a lot of hitters try that with 2 strikes. Pena is the type of hitter that'll do that at any count. He's pretty much foregone the effort to try to hit a home run. He doesn't sit back and wail away. He's a big enough guy, strong enough guy to do that, but he finds more success hitting the way he just did.
Now, you were really keeping an eye on Brennan Bosch the other night, watching him in batting practice to see, you know, really if anything had changed much from the Bosch we saw. It's kind of gone complete feast or famine, Chris, with Bosch. Spring training, he was probably the best offensive player the Reds had all spring. He starts the season, he rarely, if ever, got any playing time. When he did get a chance to bat, he couldn't do anything. They sent him back down to the minor leagues. Swung the bat well there. And this is a guy you were really talking a lot about during spring training. Are you seeing anything different, or does he just need to get more playing time?
Well, he's a guy that opened everybody's eyes in spring training just based on the numbers. Of course, the problem with spring training is the same thing that can happen in the month of September. You can be fooled. And when Bosch came up and finally did make the major league team, he hardly played at all, Tom. You're right. In all the time that he spent up here, and he was sent down to the minor leagues right around June the 15th. So he was up there from the first week of April till June 15th, and he had a total of 59 at bats. He was hitting over 330 when he was down in AAA, so he certainly has proven for the second year in a row that he can hit AAA pitching. Now it's up to him to prove that he can hit big league pitching. I imagine he's going to get more playing time up here this time. We will see. But watching him in batting practice the other day,
yes,
he was a guy that has a swing very much like what you just saw out of Brian Pena, kind of serving that ball down the left field line, staying inside the ball and trying to keep those babies fair.
Well, he turns on this one. And let's see if Pena's going to think about trying to advance. He is. And Tomas can really throw it. It's cut off. And Pena gets into third base. Now the pitcher is coming up, but a better chance to get him in from third.
Well, a productive at bat anytime you're able to move that runner from second to third.
Well, the Diamondbacks are going to bring their infield not all the way in because Pena does not run well. Hallberg the batting, swing and a miss. 1 of 6 so far this year is David Hallberg. He has 1 sacrifice.
Does Brian Price feel good enough to maybe drop a suicide squeeze right here?
Or a safety squeeze. Apparently not. Although I guess you never ever know. No balls, 2 strikes. A 3-pitch strikeout for De La Rosa, his 3rd strikeout this first time through the batting order. Well, coming up later on, as always, we'll have our Miller Time Moment. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. Well, if the Reds are going to score off De La Rosa, they'll have to do so with 2 away here in the last of the 3rd, trailing by a run. Bourgeois the batter. He popped up to Goldschmidt, leading off the Reds' first inning. Strike 1. Joe Madden's American Legion baseball weekend has started a perfect 2-0. Telling his team prior to yesterday's game nobody's showing up more than an hour before the game, and they beat the Braves 2 straight. Bourgeois sawed off on a ground ball to first. 1-0 Diamondbacks at the end of 3. In front of the Cincinnati Reds, David Holmberg already throwing the ball so much better and so much more success than he did his last start. You know, we talked about his first 3 outings, and this was a guy who you may remember they brought up last year. He had a couple of just awful outings. I mean, it couldn't have been worse. Sent him back down to the minor leagues. They brought him back up. He came in early in a game when the Reds were getting kicked around and threw the ball really well in relief for 5 innings. So they gave him a chance to go back into the rotation. And over his last 3 starts of last year, he was really good. His first 3 starts of this year were all solid starts. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs in a win over the Pirates. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs in a no decision against St. Louis. And then he got beat in a 2-1 game at San Diego, where he came within 1 out of 7 innings. Struck out 5 and only allowed 2 runs, but the Reds just didn't do anything offensively, and he got the loss. And then that last start was just a disaster. You forget about it, you move on. 2 innings, 7 runs. Straight away center field, hit a ton by Tomas, and that one will fly out of here. Yasmani Tomas, a solo home run to make it 2-0 Arizona.
Now, we've been talking about his power really since he stepped into Cincinnati, and this is what the Diamondbacks wanted a little bit more out of. That is only his 8th home run of the year. Now, he has been beset by some injuries. They talk about his raw power being about as strong as anybody on this ball club, including Paul Goldschmidt. He just golfed that one. It just never did come down until it went into the berm.
Well, look, it's no great secret as there's a base hit in the left field by Owings. Tomas needs to get in better shape. Look, all of us need to get in better shape. But Tomas is only 24 years old. And I know there's some of you sitting at home going, well, what about this guy? You know, heavy-set guy. Most recent memory of Pablo Sandoval, built a lot like Tomas. And has been a good player for a long time. Yeah, but he could have been a great player for a long time, some people feel, had he been in better shape. And the Diamondbacks are paying Tomas a pile of money to become a great player. They've not been happy with or at least some have not been happy with his conditioning. He is a powerfully built man. There's no two ways about that. Want to know on Nick Ahmed. He flied out to left field his first time up. Runner goes. Pena's throw is not going to be in time. This is a running Arizona team.
Well, you got to give Brian Pena a little bit more opportunity to throw a runner out than what Holmberg has done so far tonight. What you do against left-handers if you're a runner is oftentimes just go on the first move, gamble that he will not throw over. So Holmberg has to figure out some kind of a strategy in which to fight that. One is to step off the back of the mound, fire to first base on a quick move. Another is to hold the ball different periods of time. Another is to work a slide step into his delivery. Doesn't mean you have to do it every time, but every once in a while might give the runner something else to think about.
1-1 strike on Ahmed. And this will not advance the runner to third. One away in the inning. Pitcher De La Rosa put down a sacrifice his first time up. He has 4 hits in 51 at bats. That's a lot of at bats for a pitcher. At this point in the year. Now De La Rosa with 2 strikes, at least shortens up. Now he slides the right hand down the bat and dribbles it foul. Giants a 5-2 lead over the Pirates tonight. And we told you the Cubbies beat Atlanta 5-3. The Cardinals are out west. They'll get underway much later, playing at Petco Park in San Diego. 0-2 again. And a base hit by the pitcher De La Rosa. His 5th hit in 52 at bats. And that came on an 0-2 pitch.
Pretty good swing for a guy hitting .078. Actually, he raised that batting average to nearly 100.
Yep, secret agent 096 reporting for duty now. On the corners, Inciarte, their leadoff hitter, already batting for the 3rd time tonight. He has struck out and popped up to short left field. Solo home runs from Pollock in the 1st, Tomas here in the 4th. Swing and a miss.
Very similar to the pitch that he was called out on in the 1st inning to lead the ball game off. He says, hey, if I'm going to be called for a swing, I'm going to go ahead and hack at that pitch.
In the air, short center, catch made by Bourgeois. Here comes the runner, and he is safe on a sac fly run batted in by Inciarte. Diamondbacks extend their lead 3-0. This is an aggressive base running team. Looks like the Reds are going to appeal this play over 3rd. And
well, they've already called timeout. They wanted to do a continuous appeal, but evidently you're not going to be able to do that. So now what David Holmberg has to do is put the ball in play, explain to the umpires what he's doing, and then throw the ball to 3rd base. They got the call from the 3rd base umpire, Marty Foster, and he is not called out for leaving too soon. So the appeal has been denied.
so here's Pollock, who's had a perfect night and nearly a perfect 2 nights in this series. He's only been retired 1 time in 7 official at-bats. 6 out of 7 in this series is A.J. Pollock. Including tonight, A.J. Pollock has been in the driver's seat for the Arizona Diamondbacks, brought to you by Kia. Look at those numbers against the Reds for A.J. Pollock. We're talking about 4 games and 2 at-bats. Zoom ball there, 2 balls and a strike. So Holmberg trying to get out of this 4th inning. It's been a 2-run 4th for the Diamondbacks, who come into play tonight just 2 games under 500. They've won 17 of their last 28. And you might be saying, well, it's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal when you were 9 games under 500. And now all of a sudden you pulled within 2 games of the 500 mark. Glenn Sherlock has been with this organization since day 1. He was one of the first of the uniform personnel hired by their original manager, Buck Showalter. That one lined into left. Another hit for Pollock. Now 7 for 8 in the first 2 games of this series is A.J. Pollock. Mercy. 4-hit game last night, 3 for 3 tonight.
Well, he's getting good pitches to hit, and he's taking advantage of them. I mean, that pitch is pretty much where he would place it on a tee if he was practicing his swing in the batting cage.
Paul Goldschmidt is 0 for 2.
Well, you just don't want to get this guy healthy now.
A ground ball to 3rd, a strikeout, and it's low ball 1 to Goldschmidt, who, like Frazier, has really cooled off. Frazier, we talked about some of his numbers. For Goldschmidt, we brought it up last night at the All-Star break. I mean, there was talk about Goldschmidt winning a Triple Crown, potentially winning a Triple Crown. But he's only hit 1 home run and has fallen way off the pace set in the National League. Still among the league leaders in batting average and runs batted in. See just 1 home run since the All-Star break. He does have 19 runs batted in. That's not a bad number. You're basically talking about 19 RBIs in a month. A little more than a month. That's not a bad total at all. One and two the count on Goldschmidt off the inside corner. Pitch is really starting to pile up now for Holmberg. 71 here in the 4th. And Goldschmidt hit with a 2-2 pitch. And they are loaded for Wellington Castillo. Jeff Pico will trot out from the Reds' first base side dugout.
I don't believe there's any activity going on in the Reds bullpen. You know, we talk so much, Tom, about running young pitchers out there night after night after night. And you know, we've had pretty much a run of pretty good success so far. But when you're running a young pitcher, a rookie pitcher out there on a nightly basis, you're bound to have clunkers. And the history really for David Holmberg is that, you know, when he goes bad, he really goes bad and does have a clunker. In fact, when he was sent down to the minor leagues, in his first 4 games, he gave up a total of 30 runs. Then he ran off a string of very many good games in a row, had a couple of clunkers, bad games, and some more good games, and he was on a pretty good run when they finally called him up here to get a few starts in the major leagues and put 3 very good ones together in a row in his first 3 outings. But he needs to make a pitch here in this at bat.
In the worst sort of way, already trailing 3-0. Ball 1 on Wellington Castillo.
What I see out of Holmberg tonight is that he's just simply not using his fastball. His fastball command's not there. And he's trying to compensate for that by tricking him with other stuff. And on those nights when you don't have your fastball command, you are at the mercy of hopefully they're hitting it out of field or somewhere. Bases loaded, 2-0, a good fastball hitter at the plate, and your fastball runs up there in the mid to high 80s. Not a good place to be at. And I've been standing in that same spot for David Holmberg. Throw your best pitch, take a little bit off, and keep it down the zone.
Play through a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Two and one account on Holmberg. Line. Oh. 2-run score.
Well, that's a shame right there, because I thought that Suarez thought that he had that ball in his glove for the 3rd out of the inning, and it goes off the tip of his glove in the left center field. And if he thought he needed to jump for that, he would have, but he didn't. Oh, that's a heartbreaker if you're David Holmberg, especially. Hard hit, yes. Line drive, yes. But pretty much right at him.
Don't know if that ball had some top spin, had some knuckle to it. There's a hot smash handled by De Jesus, and the inning is over. But the Diamondbacks score 4, and they lead after 3.5, 5-0.
No known cure or cause. Please join the ALS Association, Major League Baseball, and all 30 teams in the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge during August. To learn more, visit alsicebucketchallenge.org. I'm Jim Day. You saw a number of us doing this last year, and Major League Baseball teams are doing their part by challenging each other's, and the Reds accepted a challenge earlier this afternoon, and representing the Reds with the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge are Todd Frazier, Brian Pena, and John Moscott. They took the plunge earlier today, and in the process have turned around and now challenge the Miami Marlins. So the Marlins, you are on deck and next to help fight just a horrific disease. Tom, Chris?
Well, thank you very much, Jim Day, and you're right. I mean, why not have a little fun with that? You know, it's not to get cranky, because I can get cranky every now and again. I think we all can. But, you know, I hear people already saying, gee, said so yesterday. It's so tired, that thing. You know, try to take a breath and realize what it's for. It's to raise money for a terrible disease.
Yeah, the disease has not been cured yet.
That's right.
So how can it be yesterday?
That's exactly right. And I mean, you hear it so much. If you knew somebody that had that disease, or you know somebody, even if you don't know anybody, knowing what it does to the human body and the human spirit in some cases, if we can raise a few more dollars to try and find a cure, so be it. Popped up off the bat of Suarez to start the inning. 5-0 Diamondbacks in front, and one gone against Ruby De La Rosa here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Votto coming up. Our IGS bringing the energy. Players with more strikeouts and walks over the last 4 seasons combined. More walks and strikeouts. That's my fault. Joey Votto, 2 more. Victor Martinez, 1 more. Aoki, 5 more. But look at the difference as far as just the total in each category. Ball driven hard into right center field by Votto, and that's up against the wall, and Joey into second base with his 28th double of the season.
Now, Joey wasn't going to wait around long on this particular at bat because he got behind De La Rosa. His first time was put away by a fastball. Maybe the best pitch of the night De La Rosa has dropped on the Reds. This time a get-ahead pitch that Votto just swats very solidly into right center field.
Long way to go in this one. The Reds down 5. See if they can start to peck away a little bit here. Frazier popped out to short left, his only at bat tonight, and that is a foul ball.
You know, kind of interesting early story about Ruby De La Rosa is that he never did play organized baseball as a young kid in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, but he went to a tryout when he was 16 years old, and they sent him home without any offers. He was only 5 feet 7 inches tall at age 16 and about 130 pounds. And the only game he really ever played down in the Dominican at that time was a street game, which is essentially the Dominican Republic version of cricket, called Juego La Plaquita, which is where you take 2 license plates and you bend them so they'll stand up, and they represent essentially home plate, and you pace one apart from another about 50 feet apart, and then you play a game with a bat.
That's out of the glove of the third baseman, and they still get Frazier.
Boy, is that
out.
a tough break for Frazier.
Boy, a ball he finally just blisters, and it turns into an out.
But you know what happens on this play is that you hit it and you see the third baseman glove it and you stop running, and you don't realize the ball squirted away from Aaron Hill on third base. So by the time the shortstop Ahmed is able to pick it up, he still has time to throw Frazier out. That ball was scalded. I was kind of fascinated about this game.
Yeah,
down there. And I just read a couple of different stories about Ruby De La Rosa, you know, before the ball game today, and he didn't play with a ball. At least in the article that he was quoted in, he played it with smashed up pop cans that had some tape around them. They didn't have a ball.
Sure.
And you play this game with 4 people, and you go back and forth, and you hit the ball, and you run back and forth from one license plate, home base, to another, and that's the way you score. And that was really the only thing he had played really up until his late teenage years. But he eventually was found by the Dodgers, and even though he was very slightly built and not very big at that age, they signed him because he had a great arm, built up mainly by playing Juego La Plaquita.
Well, your Spanish is really improved. I give you credit.
Una más cerveza, por favor.
Here, right now. CCC.
You can speak it too.
Well, I know a couple words. Start dropping a cerveza on me, I know what you're talking about. And that's in any language.
Well,
See, we, anything you want.
This is Hispanic Culture Night.
Yes, it is.
At the ballpark tonight, they had all sorts of festivities before the ball game. Flags of many different Latin American countries. They had all the players who were from Hispanic descent from the Reds out representing their particular countries. I imagine that you and Polly will head out after the game tonight for a little merengue dancing.
Well, you know, we did that that Arthur Murray thing there for a little while. We were living out in Arizona to learn, the a few things tuning up for the wedding, and then we enjoyed it for a little while. That's been a long time ago, brother. That's 15 years. But I must say, learning the salsa and merengue,
Yeah,
it's fun. Popped up left side. This will end the inning. Maybe since you're speaking a little Espanol, you'll come back and do a little merengue when we came back. These are some of the flags in the various countries from Hispanic Heritage Night at the ballpark. Sports Ohio brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you. At Meyer, and by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. And we always wish a pleasant good evening to those of you watching at Cincinnati Children's tonight. We hope you're having a good day today and an even better one tomorrow. Well, what a beautiful night it is. I mean, these Arizona guys, we're talking about this weather. Of course, their summer times are just so blazingly hot. And really a lot of places where they go in the summer inside their division have been hot. Not Arizona hot. But Chris, you got a taste of Los Angeles hot last week and San Diego hot.
I got to tell you, Los Angeles hot. Now it was 98 degrees at the start of the game on Sunday afternoon. But in Los Angeles, when it's hot, you have a little combination of some heat and humidity. Not quite as bad as the really, really hot days here that we normally get sometime in the month of August. But it was very hot and uncomfortable. Arizona, it's a whole different league when it comes to heat.
And it just seems like whenever you're at Dodger Stadium, when they have that kind of weather there, it seems like that's the hottest place in the whole town. I don't know why. Maybe all that cement around the stadium, all the cement in the stadium, you're kind of buried inside of a bowl. Some mountains surrounding the ballpark. 2-2 pitch. You can see the frustration with Holmberg. He was very upset at himself allowing the 4 runs in the 4th inning. And here he gets ahead of Tomas, and now he's missed on the last couple of pitches, running the count full. Hopefully Jim Day's going to have a chance to talk to some of those members of the Big Red Machine as they continue to have that function. And from where we sit, we're on the same level as they are. We can look through the glass up where that function is going on and see the members of the Great 8 all sitting in chairs next to one another, brightly lit up. Sure, there's some Q&A going on in there. It's a private event up there tonight, scheduled all along for this weekend. So, Jim, any idea on how much longer you're just going to be kind of hanging around with all your friends? You look really alone up there.
I'm up here with all my friends. That would be no one at all around me. And they've got microphones for them all. You guys have been around Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, etc. When they get going on the mic, I don't know, it could be all night long before they're done. They might have to cut this event short to do the on-field deal after the game.
Which we will be carrying, by the way, so you'll want to stick around tonight after the ball game.
Jim, why don't you ask him if any of them might be available for pinch hitting duty tonight?
You know what? George Foster looks like he could still hit it out.
You're right about that.
No question. He is ripped.
I once asked George Foster at Great American Ballpark, how many home runs would you hit with this short porch? And he said 60. And then he paused and said, before the All-Star break.
Well, having confidence is half the battle. I saw George Foster hit a ball when he was with the Reds. I was at the Padres. Now, the old Jack Murphy Stadium was a huge ball.
Boy, was it ever.
And he hit a ball off of John Honeycutt one night and hit a guy in the second deck in the chest. And they worked on that guy for about 15 minutes before he felt good enough to stand up and go get a drink of water.
I remember the guy sitting next door, Bob Brenly. We made reference to him last night. He tells the story all the time about his major league debut. He was from Coshocton, Ohio. Born and raised was Bob Brenly. Played collegiately at Ohio University. He's called up to the big leagues, and his major league debut is in Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium. I mean, all his family, his friends, they come down. That one lined into left field, a base hit by Ahmed. And that's a 2-out single. Anyway, Reds come to bat in the first inning. Brenly is catching behind the plate. They call for a changeup down and away to George Foster. The pitcher could not walk up and place the ball where they wanted it any better than the changeup that was thrown about shin high off of the outside corner. George Foster hit the ball into the red seats in left field. And Bob Brenly says, I watched that ball go out of the ballpark, and all I could ask myself is, what in the world am I doing here? When a man can do that, Foster did that to a lot of people. That year he had in 1977 when he won the National League's Most Valuable Player award. The year he hit 52 home runs. I mean, his numbers that season, in addition to the 52 home runs, were staggering. Look at this. De La Rosa with another hit. He has half the number of hits in his last 2 at-bats as he had in his first 51 at-bats.
Well, he is no longer agent 96. He is now agent 113.
Yeah, you become a secret agent when you start with O.
He'll be giving hitting lessons here pretty soon.
Sam LeCure throwing in the Reds bullpen. Didn't Foster that year, he hit 52 home runs? Did he knock in 150 runs that year?
He drove in 149.
149. 149 runs.
He led the league in both those categories. Also led the league in runs scored. The next year, he led the league in home runs and runs batted in also.
Fly ball to left, and Bosch has it to retire the side. 2 hits, 2 left, middle of the 5th. Diamondbacks lead 5-0. Series, and thanks to Reach Savings Magazine, you can save big money and catch the action with a 4 for $48 ticket offer. $48, you get 4 view level tickets plus 4 exclusive Reds hats. All that for $48. There's that Toyota sign, and if a Red player hits a ball off of it tonight, April Wainscott from Sparta, Kentucky, will win that Tundra. Boy, she be looking good riding around Sparta KY. Whoo, daddy, she be looking good. I want to take a broader camera shot, you know, a wider angle shot, if you will, of Jim Day out there at the handlebar. Here's ball 1. Reds are trailing 5-0. De Jesus leads off last of the 5th inning against Ruby De La Rosa. Now, we are so fortunate to really sit in the best seats in the house of every ballpark we go to, and that is certainly true here in our home ballpark. So we have a pretty good read of being able to see all angles of the ballpark. Now, the further away they get, pull out the binoculars to really zero in on something you might be looking for. But from where we are right now, we must be probably 2 or 3 football fields away from the handlebar. And there is only one body standing. 3 levels. And it's got to run, I don't know, a couple of 100 feet east and west. And there is only one form, one figure. Take a look at this now. Don't zoom in too quick. Look at this. And Jim, when we take this shot of you, you're sitting. I mean, you're not even relaxing.
It's just me and my scorebook. I'm still scoring the game. Still got to do the post-game show.
Hey, those are good seats if you can snag one.
You know what the thing of the story behind these seats, and I don't know if you guys can see them, but when Phil Castellini redesigned this place, he said to design these seats as if it was Captain Kirk on the bridge. True story. You've got a little place to set your drink. You've got a place to plug in your electronics. You can do it. It's all in one. He wanted you to be like Captain Kirk, and that's how he designed it.
Wow. You look a little like Scotty out there. You know, beam me up.
I got it.
When are you going to beam up one of those Reds?
If I can get him to stop yapping back here. They're going on forever. But yeah. Program is supposed to be done in 15 minutes, so I am waiting anxiously.
And I feel a little sorry for you out there.
No, don't feel sorry for me.
All right.
This is a great view up here, actually. There's no one yelling, "Hey, Day, you stink."
Speaking of great views, those guys out on the boats out there, is about a number of boats along the Ohio River now starting to settle in for the fireworks show coming up after the game. We see that every weekend. Wouldn't that look nice? I could see you, Chris Welsh, a man of the high seas.
Those
Captain's
are some pretty
lid
big,
on.
Those are some pretty big boats out there.
Beautiful boats.
Yeah.
Well, look at that one that has the houseboat with the deck chairs out there. That ball driven to center field, hit a long way by Pena, and it bounces up and over the wall. Pena brought his A game tonight. 2 at bats, 2 doubles. I thought he might have left the yard for the first time this year.
Sure gave it a pretty good ride. He had a double down the third base line, or actually left field line first time up. A little bit of a slicing ball. This one he stays behind very nicely. And A.J. Pollock, who's playing rather shallow and over towards left center, has got a long way to go and can only watch it. We mentioned at the very onset of the ball game that with 10 wins this year and an earned run average at 4.4, you have to pitch on the right day to have that combination work for you. I mean, meaning your team better score you some runs.
Pop up into left field. That's an out. The ball was caught and he dropped it, reaching in there to make the exchange. It's the second out of the inning.
Let's take a quick replay of that before we move on. Brian Price is going to go to the top of the dugout and say, hey, we're going to review this before we're going to allow play to continue. But it looks like he had control of that ball and it was a catch. Here's the run support issue that De La Rosa has enjoyed this year. Only one pitcher in the National League has more runs with which to work than Ruby De La Rosa, and he pitches for the St. Louis Cardinals, Michael Wacha. And normally the guys on this list have the most wins in the league. They may not be the best pitchers in the league, but if you're judging only by wins, this is the other stat that you might want to look at.
Night is over for David Holmberg. Skip Schumacher is going to pinch hit for him. He's been among the very best pinch hitters in all the baseball this year. Holmberg allows 11 hits in 5 innings, 5 runs, 3 earned. 2 scoring on the error charged to Eugenio Suarez in that 4-run fourth. And there's the base hit into left field by Schumacher. They're going to hold Pena at third base, so Schumacher off the bench with a base hit.
I think Skip really thought when he signed with the Reds that he was going to get more playing time this year. This is, of course, the second year he's with the Reds. He has an option for next year, a team option, and a buyout if the team decides not to take him back. But he said, you know, once he realized what the configuration of this roster was going to be, that Marlon Byrd was going to be pretty much the everyday left fielder, and Brandon Phillips is going to be the everyday second baseman. So unless there was an injury, he was going to be relegated primarily to pinch hitting duty. So he adapted to that because he was once an everyday player for a couple of years in a row with the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, with more than 500 plate appearances in 2 years in a row.
Did you know that ball that was off of Suarez's glove was scored a base hit?
I've been waiting for it to be changed, and it has not.
Okay, well, for the time being, it is scored a hit, so all 5 runs would be earned against Holmberg. Well, let's see if the Reds can get on the board. .96 pitches, only 59 of the 96 were strikes.
That's the one part that you can do something about if you're David Holmberg. Some of the other things are beyond your control. You can't control what happens when the ball leaves your hand. So you pitch 5 innings, give up 11 hits. Well, you know, sometimes that's going to happen, but more strikes may be more success.
Bouncer, that is a fair ball. And a throw is in time to get Bourgeois, and the Reds are gone. We play 5. Reds strand 2. They trail 5-0. Methodist Church rode the Fan Express to Great American Ballpark, and we thank everybody who rode the Fan Express this season. I feel like I've seen that church, the Calvary United Methodist Church. I have to look that up. Sam LeCure comes on for the Reds. He made his 2015 Major League debut here a couple of nights ago, and to the delight of everybody that has followed Reds baseball, he worked a perfect 2 innings.
Well, he was a welcome sight, I think, for just about everybody on that roster in the clubhouse. A long line of teammates waiting to congratulate him for getting back up here in the major leagues. Those are his numbers in Louisville. And early on, he got knocked around a lot. And that's, you know, when you're a reliever that doesn't put up a lot of innings, doesn't take many bad outings to get your earned run average up there. But overall, earned his way back here. And Put up 2 scoreless innings in his first outing.
What a catch made by Frazier. That's the only way you can get A.J. Pollock out in this series. Pollock has 7 hits in the first game and a half. That would have been his 8th. Nice play by Todd. So 1 away, and here's Goldschmidt.
Todd checking the lacing on that webbing.
Yeah.
Down there, make sure that he doesn't have a hole in his glove after that.
I knew I recognized that Calvary United Methodist Church. That's over there off Woodburn Avenue, over East Walnut Hills on the edge of Clifton. Driven by there a few times. So they're here tonight. Great to have them with us. 1-1 to Goldschmidt. That's an area of town that's really starting to come around as well. We talk about downtown a lot. That East Walnut Hills area is starting to move. Just off the outside corner. Balls and 2 strikes on Goldschmidt. Saw Castillo waiting in the on-deck circle. We're in the 6th inning. It's been all Arizona right from the get-go tonight. A 5-0 lead. Swing and a miss. And LeCure has now retired the first AD he has faced since coming up from Louisville.
Nice grouping of pitches for Sam LeCure. They're just trying to stay away from Goldschmidt. And that little classic 2-seamer that has a little bit of run on it. You know, for Sam, they made a big deal about his velocity in spring training. Said, oh, he's not going to be able to get big league hitters out by throwing in the mid to high 80s. You got to get that fastball back up there a little bit. And I'm not so sure it was really ever about velocity for LeCure. Because hitters don't hit what they register on the radar gun. They hit what they see. And if you have some deception there and you combine that with good movement and then good location, then you have something that can get hitters a chance to get themselves out. And that's what Sam LeCure does.
Foul out of play. And LeCure ahead of Castillo at 1 ball 2 strikes. You know, when Marlon Byrd left the Reds, we were talking about Byrd making his San Francisco Giants debut tonight. When Marlon Byrd left the Reds, he had 11 hits in his prior 61 at-bats. He had 4 hits in his prior 30 at-bats. In his Giants debut tonight in Pittsburgh, he is 3 for 3. A 2-run home run, a double, and a single. And the Giants are putting it to the Pirates 6-2. Here, it's 5-0 Arizona as LeCure enjoys a perfect 6th. you can tweet yours to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Ron, thank you. That looks like maybe father-son there. With Mr. Redlegs, no less. Reds coming to bat against Ruby De La Rosa here in the bottom of the 6th inning. De La Rosa has really worked the Reds batting order over tonight. He's only allowed 4 hits, no runs. Two, 3, and 4 in the Reds batting order. Suarez down, strike 1. Strike 3 called on Suarez, and that's a 4th of the game by De La Rosa. Follow each and every Reds game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Then stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Jim Day will still be waiting on interviews from some of the Great 8 during Reds Live. It looks like, though, Jim, for the first time, might have some company out there.
I am officially in the event right now, Tom. Sorry, I didn't know my mic was open.
You're in the event?
Well, they're taking pictures now. So I'm
you're not sitting outside anymore?
I am not.
Okay, somebody took your seat over there.
They might be taking my stuff.
Well,
keep an eye on it for me, will you?
We will. 2-0 to Votto. Joey struck out looking on a 96-mile-per-hour fastball in the first inning. He had a double to the deepest part of right center field. His next time up. And there's a 4-pitch walk to Votto. That's the first walk tonight by Ruby De La Rosa. Frazier hit into some real tough luck his last time up. For those of you that weren't with us, I mean, he scalded a line drive right at the third baseman, Aaron Hill, who put the glove up. It went into the glove, then popped out of there. And naturally, when you're going the way Frazier is right now, the ball rolled directly at the shortstop, who picked it up and threw him out. Oh, and 1 on top.
Well, we've seen 2 balls. This is the play that Frazier was thrown out on after he hit it off the glove of the third baseman, but he was at the other end of a line drive like that. He snagged the first ball that was hit off of Sam McCure for an out down the third base line, robbed him of extra bases, did he, of A.J. Pollock.
0-1 account. Fastball off the inside corner. De La Rosa is still throwing very hard here in the 6th inning. Well, Jim Day has company, and I mean he has big-time company. You come swinging right out of the gate, Jimbo. Take it away.
You know it. Greatest catcher of all time, Johnny Bench. event just ended, and you guys looked up at the scoreboard, and what did Tony say?
Let's get a bat and go down there and get some runs. We can still win this game. We're only in the 6th inning. So, and you know what? We actually believe it. I mean, that's how bad we are. I mean, the thing's still there, the competitiveness and everything else. But Tony is like, you know, we're the first ones to go down there. We'll face anybody down there. We don't care how they do. But I think we're getting disappointed in the fact that the performance so far this year. But what a great night, Jimmy. I mean, it was just terrific. And it was supposed to be a roast, but we're all saying, you know what? It's really a toast. It's really a toast. It's little line drive to the left fielder. He misses it. Oh, what a dive. And we'll have runners at second and third, and a rally has started. Oh, boy, this is great. All right.
Former broadcast partner of Tom Brenneman, I believe you still got it. How was the event in there? I know when you guys get together and you get an open mic, it is just... it is hilarious. I talked to some of the people that were there, and they just loved it.
Well, we probably spent too much time together before the event. But, you know, it got into the point where we're just it's such a reverence. I mean, he was the guy that, even when the day he was traded, the day I cried. I mean, that's what he meant to this ball club, and he meant everything to us. They talk about the glue and everything else, and it's true. I mean, he was just everything. He was a clutch hitter, and in the clubhouse was more important than probably being on the field because he kept everybody together. It was a bond that we all had, the greatest respect. And I told him, I said, I was honored when I got my statue. I was thrilled when Joe got his. This is probably the best of all. I mean, for Tony to be recognized for the player that he was and what he meant to all of us, well, that's what's important, and we're getting it done.
We've talked so many times about the Big Four and Perez being in that group, and people outside of the circle don't realize how much he meant to you guys. How important. I mean, you put him on top.
Well, it was the great 8, really. I mean, you know, we talk about the Big Four, but the great 8, those guys represented tonight that we had joining us and coming in and representing what their love and affection was for Tony was really special. Raleigh Eastwood, Don Gullett, Jack Billingham. I mean, David, you know, Doug Flint. And Dan Dreesen. And Dan, you know, Dan was had Tony and you know, labored for a long time before Tony left. But it was such respect for the man who really gave so much to all of us, got us 2 World Series, 2 championships. And for Tony to be there tonight, and you know, it'll be very emotional for him. He's got 40 friends in, 40 guests, 40 from all over the country. His sister came in from Cuba. I mean, it's just a really special day, and for Tony to get the statue that will last forever. I mean, it symbolizes what he meant to Cincinnati and Cincinnati baseball.
Well, Johnny, we always it's great to see you and appreciate your time.
Special day, Jim. Thank you so much.
All right, greatest catcher of all time, boys. Johnny Bench. He's even still got some play-by-play in it.
He sure does. Hey, Jim, before Johnny gets away, grab him real quick. You know, I'm not sure that anybody really got to hear from Johnny much after that franchise 4 night. What was that like for him now that he looks back on it?
That is a great question. The franchise 4 at the All-Star game. How much of an honor was it to be amongst the all-time living legends, to be there amongst the 4?
I mean, I was shaking my head. I mean, I'm walking out there with Willie. I'm walking out there with Hank. I'm walking out there with Koufax. And it was just like the most unbelievable feeling. I didn't know how I was supposed to react. But it is a very emotional time, and one that I at some point will say, wow, I'm Rushmore 4. That's pretty good.
Well, tell you what, well deserved. Not only the greatest catcher of all time.
The red score. We'll go into the 7th inning, trailing 5-1. Oh boy.
And that's a perfect way to head to break.
Honor Hall of Famer Tony Perez. The first 30,000 fans in attendance receive a replica Tony Perez statue. They will unveil that bronze statue in a special on-field pregame ceremony tomorrow. It's presented by La Rosa's. We'd love to have you come on down. There are tickets still available. Sam LeCure begins his second inning. We're in the 7th. Reds on the board on a ground out by Jay Bruce. And it's a 5-1 Arizona lead. You know, how would you like to be Jim Day right now? He just had a chance to talk to Johnny Bench. And guess who's on deck now? Peter Edward. Jim.
Peter Edward Rose, the hit king, is in the house, and with a couple of Tony Perez's granddaughters, I understand, right?
These are Eduardo's girls.
Eduardo's girls. Very nice. Eduardo is in town. As you heard Johnny Bench talking about, there's about 40 family members with Tony. How much does Tony Perez mean to you guys, Pete?
You know, Jim, you got to remember one thing about Doggy. I met him 55 years ago. 1960, him and I were teammates in Geneva, New York. So I've known Tony more than anybody else in the world of baseball during his baseball career. And, you know, some people will say Johnny, some people will say Joe, some people will say me. But Tony was the glue to the Big Red Machine. I mean, he was the guy we depended on. He was the RBI guy. Johnny was a good RBI guy, too. We all know that. They're all Hall of Famers. But I was telling someone tonight how lucky I was to be a leadoff hitter and have 3 guys coming up after me all have statues at the ballpark. I don't think that's ever happened to another player. Right. Think about that. I mean, you're leading off, and you got Joe coming up, and you got Johnny coming up, and you got Tony coming up. I mean, what a position to be in. And Tony, you know, I'm not a believer that you win big games in the clubhouse, but when they traded Tony after the 78 season, I believe, or 77 season, I don't think they understood what he meant to all the Latino players. Yeah. You know, the Davies, the Bourbones, the Geronimos, the Armbristers, all those type of players. He was like a father to those guys. And Johnny and I and Joe all had so much respect for Tony. And I've never seen him mad except that one night when Gibson threw at him and he started a fight with Bob Gibson. That's the only time I've ever seen Tony Perez mad at another player, a writer, a fan, you know, anybody. Tony Perez is just never mad. But then there again, he wasn't never mad, but he was very aggressive when he was in the batter's box and very aggressive when he had a man in scoring position.
One of the gauges that you can measure of how much people like someone is if they poke fun at them in a fun way. And it seems like to this day that you guys love to razz Tony Perez.
He was the best. I mean, he'd have a boat oar and just stir it. He'd come down to me and Joe and say, you know what Johnny just said about you guys? And he'd go up to Johnny and say, you know what Joe just said about you? You know what Pete just said about you? And he'd go over to Davey and say, Davey, they're over making fun of you. And it'd just go around the clubhouse. And that's the way Doggy was. But you know, he knew when to do it, when not to do it, and he was like the rest of us. We lost, kept his mouth shut. Everything's, you know, let's go on to the next day and try to win the game. So he was a winner, no question about it.
Does it ever get old reuniting with these guys?
Oh, no, not at all. But I wish we could do it every week. We did it at the All-Star game, and we're all getting older now. And fortunately, we're all still in place. And it was the most entertaining team in the history of baseball, Jimbo. It wasn't the greatest team. I'm not going to say that.
I'll say it. It was the greatest team.
We're the only team to date, August 21st, 2015, with a black Hall of Famer, a white Hall of Famer, a Latino Hall of Famer, and a Hall of Fame manager. No other team had that ingredient ever. Now, someday maybe the Yankees will, because Torrey made it, Jeter will make it, Rivera will make it, maybe Clemens will make it. But until that happens, we're standing alone on that category.
I got one final question for you. We've got a statue of Johnny out there. We've got a statue of Joe. We've got a statue of Tony. Barring anything that happens with you in the Hall of Fame, would you like to have a statue of you outside this ballpark someday?
Oh, that would be the ultimate goal for any player, especially any player who played for his hometown. You know, statue of me in Cincinnati, that would be the ultimate. I think I agree with Johnny. That would be bigger than going to the Hall of Fame. You know, to be to know that 150 years from now, when people come to the ballpark, they'll be able to go by the history that's out there. And it's pretty good right now. You got the old left-hander out there, and you got Joe out there, and you got Johnny out there, and now you're going to have Doggy out there. And I'm missing a couple guys.
Frank Robinson's out there.
I mean, there's just this franchise has been such a rich franchise of good athletes over the years, and it's nice for the city. It's nice for the whole tri-state area to be able to come to the ballpark and see those statues.
Well, it's great seeing you guys as always, Pete. Thanks for the time, and I'm sure Tony appreciates that you were here, my man.
I love that guy.
All right, that's Peter Edward Rose. Let's go back to you guys.
Well, it's so nice to see all these guys when they get together. That is incredible. 55 years ago.
Well, that really puts it in perspective.
It sure does. In the minor league, what's that? New York Penn League,
Geneva,
right?
yeah, New York Penn League. I mean, that's about as low as you can get.
The Reds haven't had a team there forever.
I'm sure they have not. That was the league that I played in back in the 70s. But I mean, that was the summer league that would start around June and end in September. So it was really only a half a season.
To think that's where he met Tony Perez 55 years ago. I was thinking about that during our rain delay the other night when they were showing video highlights of the Big Red Machine, the World Series. Throw down to second. Runner this time is just barely ahead of the throw. As Yasmani Tomas is out on strikes for the first out of the inning after the walk to Hill to start it. Diamondbacks with 3 stolen bases in the game tonight. Jay Bell double checking the I don't know if he's checking the video board because there's no one, or with the replay. Bobby Coughlin.
He probably was checking the replay on that because it looked awfully close. It looked, as we saw it the second time, that, you know, Ivan De Jesus Jr. had to wait until the pitch was swung through before he got over there to second base. When he got there, he was about 3 feet in front of the second base bag, and he had to reach behind him to make the tag. And that may have been a determining factor in Hill being able to slide in ahead of that throw, because it looked like the throw was a pretty good throw from Pena. We don't really see it from this angle, but he's got to reach way back. Now, I'm not saying that actually the throw was probably on over the center of the bag or even on the shortstop side of the bag. But Hill got a great break. I mean, you're right about this Diamondback ball club. They just like to run, and it's just not one guy in the lineup or two.
And Hill is one of the least base stealing threats they have on this club. He's 7 out of 8 now. Of course, he doesn't play regularly.
Right.
He started the first 2 games of this series at third base in place of left-handed hitting Jake Lamb because the Reds started consecutive left-handers. We'll see Lamb more than likely tomorrow. Frazier will look to runner back. 2 away. 1 more out to go for Sam LeCure. This will be his final inning of work. It's his second inning of work. Sam, one of the Reds, and J.J. Hoover is another. Matt Latos had done the same thing when he was here. But LeCure lives here year-round.
I think J.J. Hoover lives here year-round.
Yeah, Hoover too, yeah. But, you know, LeCure and J.J. both have really embraced the town. J.J.'s wife's over at the Cincinnati Zoo. And, you know, she works over there, has for many, many years. And so, you know, I mean, they're really involved in the community. Sam around and about different charitable events, social events. Saw him at that Bengals Denver Broncos Monday Night Football game, or whatever Thursday Night Football game that occurred very late in the season last year, out hanging with a bunch of the fans at a tailgate party before one of the games. It was a lot of fun. And so it's not to say that guys that live other places that they're not as into it as guys that do, but it means a lot to LeCure to be here. And that clubhouse certainly missed him.
There is no question about that.
A lot. Runner takes off, and now they have him caught, and he's out.
Veteran move by LeCure. No panic.
Pretty silly right there by Hill. Reds will bat in the 7th. They're down 5-1.
Red machine, my man George Foster here. I hope he doesn't make fun of me during this interview, because I can't walk by the guy without him ripping me in some way. But how cool is this night?
Oh, this is great. It's always great to see our teammates again. It's like a big family. And honoring Tony Perez, you know, he's a catalyst of the team, and everybody get along so well. We're supposed to be roasting him, like Johnny said. We should be toasting him, because it's hard to roast somebody that you respect so much.
How much razzing was going on in there behind closed doors?
Not as much, because, you know, certain things that we have to delegate or relegate behind closed doors, but they did a pretty good job. Johnny and Pete was the one. But I don't think Joe was feeling as well, but Joe is usually the guy to come up with these big words that nobody understands.
How much, as a younger guy on the team, did Tony Perez mean to you as a hitter, just watching him operate?
Good question, because I try to build my swing after Tony Perez, build my approach after Tony Perez. He was a clutch hitter, driving runs, and also hit for average. So I want to have balance like Tony Perez did, and anything Tony Perez and Johnny Bench had done, I try to emulate.
Take us back to 1975, the day when Sparky Anderson told you you're going to be in left field and Pete Rose is going to third base.
Well, I waited for that day. The statement of be prepared for that opportunity. So that opportunity finally had come about, and I was ready to play. And luckily, I guess I played against the Braves, because I always hit the Braves very well. But I believe I got 2 for 4 that day. I got a home run and a couple RBI. But that was the starting of some greatness for me and also for the ball club.
All right, this ballpark, Great American Ballpark. How much would you like to hit here?
Oh, I would love it. People would ask me how many home runs would I hit here.
Here we go.
I probably hit about 70 at All-Star break. But it's a ball.
I said only 60 earlier in this broadcast.
Oh, okay.
It's up to 70.
But I've been working out in the gym, so now I'm strong. I can hit at least 10 more.
Well, he still looks like he can play, guys. George Foster, what a hitter.
Oh, what a hitter is right. I mean, there was a 3-year run. He was the most feared hitter in the league. This ball has hit a ton, but not enough. Deepest part of the yard out there. Brennan Bosch, and I keep bringing up Chris because Chris was the guy that had an eye on this guy in spring training. And this was the kind of stroke he had back in Arizona. Well, look who's coming up. That's right. Brandon Phillips announces the pinch hitter. Injured his arm, upper part of his arm. And it wasn't the play we originally everybody thought it was. It was the first game of the Kansas City series, not the second game, but he re-aggravated it in the second game and left that game. He's not played since. Mets blasting Colorado in the second inning. The Mets in front 7-1. That's out in Denver naturally. Brandon loves hitting here at Great American Ballpark. No doubt about that. Milwaukee leads the Washington Nationals 5-2. That game in the 7th inning. No dribbler. Just a hitting streak. Extender? No, that's a good play made by Aaron Hill. On to second goes Pena. 2 outs in the inning. If the Mets win tonight and the Nationals lose, it would be a 5-game lead for the New York Mets in the NL East. The Giants behind Madison Bumgarner. Bumgarner tonight hit his 5th home run of the season.
Unbelievable.
And that's not the easiest park in the world to hit a home run in Pittsburgh.
It is for him. I mean, the size of the park for Bumgarner is secondary.
Oh, and by the way, he's also pitching in the 7th inning, and he's only allowed 2 runs. Marlon Byrd, 3 hits, including a home run, his first at bat with the Giants. That's a good series tonight that starts in Houston. Interesting series anyway. Division leaders. The Houston Astros a 2-0 lead over the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I think what's interesting, Tom, is with the lead that the Mets have now, and you talk about them continuing to win and Washington continuing to struggle. And of course the Yankees in first place by a game and a half, at least right now, over Toronto coming into today's game.
Base hit right field. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes a throw by Tomas, and he is safe. He tried to make the sweep tag, and it looked like Pena actually popped up before he got to the plate and then tiptoed around him.
Wow, a little ballet dancing, or maybe some two-stepping there at home plate. Not on the tag yet. Get your foot on the plate. Yes. Wow.
How about the nifty Brian Pena? There's some of that salsa, little merengue you were talking about earlier.
Gotta love that guy.
Oh, yeah. That makes it a 5-2 ball game. Mike Harkey, the pitching coach, out to talk with De La Rosa, allowing the 2-out run scoring single by Bourgeois. I mean, that's Dancing with the Stars stuff right there. The big fella popping up. And then a little dipsy-do to get in there.
That's his part of the dugout. You see the bats up, leaning up against the wall there, and the towel. I mean, that's all his little special section. And he goes down and prepares. Jim Day did a couple of reports on it throughout the season about how he prepares that meticulously before every ball game.
Oh boy, up under the chin of Suarez, and that was a 96-mile-per-hour heater from De La Rosa. We are in the 7th inning. And the Diamondbacks' 5-0 lead is now down to 5-2. And you've got a couple of hot hitters coming up here in Suarez and Votto. 1 ball, 1 strike. Keith Hessler, a left-hander, getting ready for Votto in the Arizona bullpen. Frazier, of course, after Joey. On swinging Suarez, and the Reds are gone in the 7th. But Brian Pena able to sneak in there ahead of the tag. David Holmberg in the 1st inning. A.J. Pollock a solo home run. He's having a monster series, and we're only 2 games into it. Now, Osmani Tomas made it 2-0, leading off the 4th with a home run to deep right center field. And then a misplay after a sac fly made it 3-0. A misplay by Suarez. This ball is still ruled a hit. So all 5 runs charged to Holmberg, earned runs. Then the Reds, after getting a ground out by Jay Bruce to knock in a run, got a run scoring single by Bourgeois, and a nifty slide at the plate by Pena. So we march on to inning number 8, where the Reds trail the Diamondbacks in the 2nd of 4 games this weekend, 5-2. And taking over now on the mound for the Reds, following 2 innings of hitless, scoreless baseball from Sam LeCure, is Jumbo Diaz.
Well, a little bit more of at least a closer ball game now than it was early on, as the Reds have tried to come back a little bit. Jumbo Diaz has thrown the ball pretty well, especially since he has come back up from the minor leagues after spending some time down in Louisville. So each and every pitcher that the Reds have run out into this ball game today has spent some time with the Louisville Bats. He's got the bottom of the order, 8, 9, and 1 coming up.
Those are the numbers since Jumbo. Well, since the All-Star break, when they brought him back up. Look at that ERA. 16 games, 1 earned run, and an ERA at 0.5. And how about that? First pitch slider at the knees for a strike.
To the number 8 hitter. Ahmed's got to be thinking, well, what did I do to you, Jumbo? Dropping that pitch on me right out of the gate.
Well, 98's coming. Jared Saltalamacchia, who had a big hit in the come from behind win last night off the bench, stands in the on deck circle. He kept that 2-run 8th inning alive with a 2-out double. Sharply hit ball knocked down by De Jesus. He'll throw out Ahmed, 1 away. That hit was such a big hit. The Reds had a 1-run lead in the 8th inning. Tomas had an infield hit to start things against Badenhop. But then Burke retired the next 2 batters. And he got ahead of Saltalamacchia. No balls and 2 strikes. Then he left the pitch up in the strike zone away from Saltalamacchia, who hit it down the left field line up against the wall, sending Tomas on to third. They walked in Ciarte and Pollock, a 2-run single, which vaulted Arizona to a 1-run lead and ultimately the 1-run win. Jay Bruce giving chase, so too is Bourgeois. Jason's got it. 2 outs in the 8th. Crowd of nearly 27,000 on hand on this beautiful Friday night. They have a ceremony, quick one, on the field after the game. Then they'll have the Friday night fireworks, as we do every Friday night home game. And again, we invite you to come on down tomorrow. 7:10 first pitch. But pregame ceremonies probably settle into your seat, I'd imagine, about what, 6:15, 6:30, somewhere in that range, as they will unveil the Tony Perez statue. In the air, long run for everybody, and Frazier with a nice over-the-shoulder reception. And that will end the inning. Frazier, a big Giants fan. That looked like an Odell Beckham Jr. grab, inning over.
hits the game-winning home run, and in his efforts becomes the 1967 All-Star Game MVP on the way to Cooperstown, the National Baseball Hall of Famer. We're looking forward to Reds Live post-game. You'll see on-field live ceremonies. A little Q&A is going to happen on the field, and our colleague Doug Flynn, who was also a member of that Big Red Machine, will be handling the festivities with the big names on the field. Tomorrow at 4:30, it's open to the public when they unveil Tony Perez's statue, and a special 1-hour edition of Reds Live pregame will get you ready for the game, and we will see all the festivities on the field live here in the home of the Reds, Fox Sports Ohio. Can't wait for the post-game show, boys.
So, Jim, you probably got to make your way down. You have a zip line down to the Fox Sports Ohio condominium from up there?
You know, I was actually just looking at how far the set is from here, thinking, in my younger days, I would just zip right on over there. But, yeah, I got to leave a little early, but I do not have a zip line.
Well,
if I did, though, I'd take
cool with it.
It would be cool, and I would do it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That one, I really wanted to do that one they had at the All-Star game this year. I know weather really backed up some of the traffic they were hoping to have come through on that zip line. But, man, that thing was cool. We have to get the Reds to, or Fox Sports Ohio, to pony up one of those things for Jim Day. From out there at the handlebar. Keith Hessler on, and the very first pitch in the at-bat, Votto checks his swing, and on the appeal, it was a strike. He didn't like it. He's not seen a strike since, and he would argue the first pitch was not a strike, or shouldn't have been called a strike. Rian 1 to Votto, leading off the Reds' 8th inning. No activity in the Arizona pen. You have lefty, righty, lefty. Votto puts a charge into one left field. It's a 2-run game. Joey, number 23, his 60th run batted in, and it's 5-3 Arizona.
Well, the left-hander brought in to try to get Joey Votto out, goes full, and that pitch down in the zone. Joey Votto provides the altitude and the thump as he goes opposite field there on that fastball.
Well, that's the only batter Hessler's going to face. We said there was no one getting loose in the pen. That's because Addison Reed is already loose and ready to go. So this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. 5-0 is now down to 5. And the man originally brought in to be the closer for the Arizona Diamondbacks when he was acquired from the Chicago White Sox. He's not been that for quite a while. Comes on to pitch now, and that's Addison Reed.
Well, he did have 40 saves at one point his last year with the White Sox.
Frazier trying to bunt his way on. Safe.
Well, he sees the third baseman playing back. Reed falls off to the first base side, so Hill is the only one who's going to make the play, and he makes a nice play right there, but Frazier just, that's great execution right there on that bunt. Doesn't show it too early, stays in the batter's box to make sure he lays it down.
Frazier, for a big man, can run.
Yeah, he's a good athlete.
Yes, he is. Now Jay Bruce about it, 0 for 3. Grounded out to drive in a run. The first Reds run of the game. That came in the 6th inning. So the tying run of the plate. The Reds were once down 5-0 in this game. Normally the Diamondbacks have a lead. They'll hand the ball to Daniel Hudson in the 8th inning. Hudson worked an inning last night, although he was in some trouble. Allowed a single, also allowed a walk. And got the final out in the 8th. There's a fly ball into left field. And just short of the warning track, it is caught by Inciarte. 1 out. But that certainly is something the Diamondbacks have in that bullpen, and that's some guys that, you know, if you don't want to use Hudson, he's coming all the way back from a couple of major surgeries, missed, 2.5 years, and maybe you don't want to use him all the time. And so you can hand the ball to a guy who may not be having a great year necessarily in Reed, but he's certainly experienced. He's pitched in close games as a former closer.
Well, he's 26 years old, and he's got more than 100 saves in the major leagues. So he's young, but has experience. They traded for him before the 2014 season. From Chicago, the White Sox, for Matt Davidson.
And 1 on Ivan De Jesus Jr. Runner at first. Reds down 2. We're in the 8th inning.
Now, what the Diamondbacks have been able to do this year, really, is beat the teams with losing records. They are 34-20 against teams with losing records. Reds are 10 games under against teams with losing records. The bullpen is a big part of that, and the Reds bullpen has struggled really since the very beginning of the season. When Brian Price was running different pitchers out there who had good springs in their Goodyear auditions, but were unable to get anything going there in the month of April. And it's kind of been a revolving door of everybody until the last month or so, except for Aroldis Chapman at the very back end.
That bunt hit, by the way, for Todd Frazier, the second bunt hit of his career. The other came back in 2013. Two and one to De Jesus. Left center field at the track. 2 out.
Yeah, I might be wrong in this observation, but it seemed like early in the ball game, the ball was really jumping out of here. And maybe as the temperature's cooled a little bit.
It's really cool. I think you're right.
It hasn't really carried nearly as much. I thought that Bosch hit his ball better than it went. I thought that Bruce hit the ball at least it would get up into the warning track. And I really thought that DeJesus got a lot of that one. And fairly easily run down.
These last couple of nights are the first 2 nights and then very early in the morning if you're up in Adam where you can use a sweatshirt. Young lady came prepared. Now we're not totally there yet tonight, but we will be later in the night, very early tomorrow morning. Slipping down into the high 50s, mid 50s last night and again tonight. Two and 0 to Pena. Ryan's had a very good night at the plate. 3 for 3. A double to left, a double to deep right center, and then a single to right field in the 7th inning, and had that terrific slide where he popped up in front of the plate and avoided the tag by Wellington Castillo and then stepped on the plate safely. 2-1.
Best slide of the year.
Waits in the on-deck circle. But he'll be left right there. Ahmed for the final out. Reds get one back. Joey plays long ball. We go to the 9th. Arizona leads 5-3. Reds Live, we call it here on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Take a peek ahead. A special edition begins at 6 tomorrow of Reds Live. And that's so we can bring you, all the information you want to know leading up to the first pitch. More importantly, we will televise the entire ceremonies and the unveiling of the statue of Reds Hall of Famer Tony Perez, Randall Delgado, and Anthony DeSclafani. That's a good pitching matchup here tomorrow night. Game coverage starts at 7. Jumbo worked a perfect 8th inning, and he'll stay in there to pitch a 9th. Well, I tell you, every night you come to the ballpark and you see something different. But with these two jumbotrons now here at the ballpark, when they show pictures of little kids around the stands and they know they're on that thing, I mean, some of the reactions, and people in general, but especially the kids, it's just great stuff.
Young man playing a little air guitar.
Sure.
Frogs. Wild thing. I think it was the Frogs. They were the original ones anyway. You like these Los Rojos uniforms?
I do.
Yeah, I do too. And of course, pretty much a literal translation. Not so though for the Los D-backs.
No, that's definitely not it. No.
But I mean, they would have had a hard time figuring out exactly what to write anyway. Because there's a lot of different ways you can say Diamondbacks in Spanish. And I'm, believe me, no Spanish expert at all. Don't speak it. But looked it up a little bit. One way would be Casabel de Diamante.
That would be a lot on the uniform.
Yeah. Serpiente de Diamante. Dorso de Diamante. Rótalo de Diamante. Now, Casabel is actually a snake found in South America that is, de Diamante would have Diamondbacks on it, and it resembles very much a rattlesnake. That may be the closest that you could get if you wanted to put it on your shirt, but Los D-backs was a lot easier to stitch.
It's Andy Green. He hails from Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, former UK player.
Yes, indeed.
Played for Keith Madison down there.
He had a season 1 year. There's a rocket back up. I tell you, this Pollock, man.
Boy, he can hit.
This guy. And look, the Reds are catching him on an incredible 2 games so far. But this guy's having a really good year.
I mean, if Todd Frazier doesn't leap and catch a sizzling line drive going down the left field line, this guy's got 5 hits.
After 4 last night.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 4-hit games for Pollock. And you better watch him because he will run. It's a 2-run game. They pitch out. We're starting to talk about Andy Green, and of course they're not going to have it in here. Oh yeah, they will. But I don't have all the numbers. But I remember when he was a player coming up through the Diamondback system, and we kept hearing about this Andy Green, Andy Green, Andy Green. In 2005, he was the Pacific Coast League's most valuable player. And during that season, Andy Green hit .343. Runner goes, and just no chance. No chance to throw him out. 4 stolen bases tonight by Arizona, 2 of them by Pollock.
Well, the Diamondbacks are doing to the Reds what the Reds did early in the season to a lot of other teams, which you just run them right out of the ballpark.
So Pollock now with 32 stolen bases on the year. He's only been thrown out 6 times. 3-0 on Goldschmidt. He looks at a strike. Just to finish that thought about Green, though, he hit .343, had 46 doubles that season, hit 19 home runs, drove in 80, primarily as a leadoff man or a number 2 hole hitter. And you have some of the other numbers there on your computer, Chris, but it was just an absolutely incredible season for Andy Green.
And that was in 2005. By 2008, he had been with a couple of different teams.
Yep.
One of those was the Reds. He played in Louisville, played in 71 games and did not hit very well, and ended up moving on to the Mets.
Yeah, he went to Christian Academy in Lexington and stayed at home to play at the University of Kentucky. and a really, really pleasant man.
Super guy.
Yeah, he really is. Because his career was so short. He played 10 years in the minor leagues, but I mean his major league career, so he's still a very young man. He just turned 38.
Well, he played a year over in Japan. One more note on Andy Green. He may have the best middle name that every golfer wishes that they had as a middle name. His middle name is Mulligan. Andrew Mulligan Green. I mean, if anybody, your dad should adopt that name and make it his legal name.
Mulligan?
Yeah. I mean, you know, a mulligan is a do-over in golf.
I know what a mulligan is. He's not even here to defend himself.
Somewhere he's defending himself. I'm going to ask Andy about that tomorrow when I see him.
Somewhere he's defending himself. And for those of you that I can't begin to tell you the unique relationship that is shared between my dad and Chris Welch. It is you better not have thin skin, because it is oftentimes just brutal. Base hit into left field. They're going to hold Pollock. That's Posh. Throws it all the way over the cutoff man to the plate, and they're on the corners on the single by Castillo.
It's a big run out there. And Brian Pena now looking in the dugout, wants to know from Jay Bell how they want to play the defense here.
Bullpen has been very good tonight. Really good. LeCure 2 scoreless innings. Jumbo worked a scoreless 8th. But now in trouble here in the 9th after his team just scored in each of the last 3 innings to get within 2. Aaron Hill, the batter. Diamondbacks have a whopping 13 base hits in this game. This will bring in the run. Caught by Bourgeois. Tagging and scoring is Pollock, and that lead now is at 3. Jay Hill is still a pretty solid player, man. He had some really, really good years, as we know, in Toronto, and had a couple of all-star seasons there. Had an all-star season as a Diamondback, and then he got hurt.
Got to be his 11th or 12th year in the major leagues.
He got hurt, and then he lost his job, and he's never gotten regular playing time this season. When they made the commitment that Owings was going to move from short to second, and Ahmed was going to be the second baseman, that meant Hill was no longer going to be the second baseman. I'll tell you what, he might be the kind of guy, I don't know, because we don't see him play enough, if Hill could be an everyday player again, but that guy can help somebody. Because he can hit. Tomas. Facing Jumbo on a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two hits in this inning. You know, it goes to show you about the stolen base. So frequently a statistical category that many overlook. Don't think it's a big deal. Don't think it's worth trying it. What are the odds to do it? Well, the stolen base by Pollock allows the Diamondbacks to score a run in this inning. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 9th. Down 3.
It's brought to you by Menards. Big money at Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your local Toyota dealers. Proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. Well, Jumbo Diaz dialed it up to finish off the top of the 9th inning for the Diamondbacks with his 98-mile-an-hour fastball. A strikeout of Yosmani Tomas. And that is our Cholula flamethrower of the night.
Brad Ziegler comes on for the Diamondbacks. He's been on quite a run here. Has converted 20 straight save opportunities. And they also bring in a no right fielder taking over for Tomas. Is David Peralta. He is their regular left fielder. They've done a real juggling act on those corner outfielders in the 2 series the Reds have seen the Diamondbacks. When we were in Arizona, they had Peralta in left, they had Inciarte in right. And here in this series, Inciarte moves over to left so they can stick Tomas in right. And now late in the game, they keep Inciarte in left and they put Peralta in right. Peralta will be right back in that lineup tomorrow night. He's having a good year. 1-1 on Brennan Bosch. Addison Reed, 1 inning, allows a bunt hit. No runs. Jumbo goes 2, allows 2 hits and a run. Fans 2. And now it's Ziegler on to try and nail down what would be his 23rd save of the year. He got the save last night, working a very quiet 1-2-3 9th inning. 3 straight ground balls, in fact, to the third baseman. This time hooked to the right side. We mentioned the 20 in a row converted by Ziegler. That is the 3rd longest in Diamondbacks franchise history. Greg Olson was their closer. He resurrected his career after many injuries with the expansion Diamondbacks. Well, but that didn't last long for Greg Olson, because he pitched well as a closer with an expansion team. Well, during that winter of 98 to 99, the Diamondbacks brought in Randy Johnson, they brought in Todd Stottlemyre, they brought in Steve Finley, they brought in Luis Gonzalez. The first 3 games of the year at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles were blown saves by Olson, and the bullpen gave it up in the 4th game of the year in the 9th inning. And a team that wound up winning its division in a runaway started that year 0-4. And Olson was not the closer for long, because they would trade for Matt Manti. Liner caught, and the Reds are down to their final out. De La Rosa, an out away from winning his 5th consecutive game. It would be his 11th win overall. Holmberg would slip to 1-3. And the Reds are on the brink of a 7-game losing streak. And you can talk about the pitching and Holmberg and so on and so forth, and obviously a misplay at short by Suarez, but again, this offense has just gone stone cold. When you consider that Votto has been on base 3 times, he had 2 hits. Frazier had 2 hits, including a bunt hit, and Pena had 3 hits. Everybody else, Bourgeois did knock in a run with a hit, but only 4 extra base hits in a game. They had 3 extra base hits in a game last night. And in fairness, they're playing with either guys that didn't start the season with this team, or guys certainly that didn't think they would be in the starting lineup with this team. And that's all she wrote. Reds are gone in order in the 9th. 6-3 is our final. Diamondbacks have won the first 2 of this 4-game series. But we've got good stuff coming up tonight. The Tony Perez ceremony, so we're going to get it right to Reds Live and let it get started. Going to start with a ceremony for the big doggy, Tony Perez.